Sir, first of all, I wish to reiterate with the full authority of the central government that the Andhra Pradesh State Reorganization Act 2014 will be respected, is being respected, and the Government of India stands completely committed to ensuring the welfare and the well-being of the state and people of Andhra Pradesh. Over the last 4 years, this government has consistently fulfilled all the commitments made both under the Reorganization Act and by the Honorable former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh, and the assurances given by him on the floor of the House following your own forceful intervention in this august House, sir, in February 2014. In fact, if the earlier government had included that in the Andhra Pradesh Reorganization Act itself, possibly things would have been much easier and it may not have caused the kind of discomfort and problems that this august House is now discussing. Honorable Chairman Sir, the Honorable former Prime Minister had said, for purposes of central assistance, special category status should be extended for a period of 5 years. This would put the state's finances on a firmer footing. These were the exact comments that were made by the Honorable former Prime Minister. Sir, why I said this is the 14th Finance Commission, when it was working out the devolution of funds for all the states, used two formula. One, it said we would now give 42% instead of 32% to all the states, and accordingly the successor state of Andhra Pradesh was also given 42%, so was Telangana and every other state. Secondly, sir, the 14th Finance Commission, after the 42% devolution based on the earlier formula of disbursement from the central kitty for the several centrally aided projects, assessed what could be the revenue gap of each state and provided additional funds. Sir, as my colleague said, Andhra is one of those only other states other than the hilly states which received revenue deficit grant for all the 5 years. Why did that revenue deficit grant come up? It was because the central schemes were allotted funds from the center at 70-30 ratio or some other ratio and various other formula. Therefore, the revenue grant came to a certain amount which this government is fulfilling. The 14th Finance Commission's report came much after the States Reorganization Act. If the 14th Finance Commission had any intention that the successor state of Andhra Pradesh will be given a special category status while assessing the revenue deficit grant, they would have first given 90-10 formula for all the central projects, and then the residual would have been given in the form of a revenue deficit grant, but it did not do so. It used the formula of 60/40 etc., and based on that it came to rupees 22,000 crore as revenue deficit grant for the successor state of Andhra Pradesh, and which we have been paying. Suppose we were to agree for a special category status in entirely to be granted to the successor state, then we would have to reassess the revenue deficit grant that is being given for 5 years. After all, that is coming out of a central kitty which is distributed to all the states. If we were to rework all these schemes on 90-10 basis as per special category, then this revenue deficit grant would have come down by about rupees 17,500 crore. Therefore, if we would be giving this money in one form by special category status, what do you get? Since tax incentives are not part of status per se, you will get 90-10 instead of 60-40 or 50-50 basis. So that would have reduced your revenue deficit grant. Then they would have got it from one pocket instead of the other pocket, and net of that the state of Andhra Pradesh should have got no extra funds than what is being committed by the Modi government. What did we do? We went to the cabinet recognizing that the 14th Finance Commission has said it very categorically, and I can quote from the comments of the 14th Finance Commission where it is very categorically mentioned, we did not make a distinction between special and general category states in determining our norms and recommendations. In our assessment of state resources, we have taken into account the disabilities arising from constraints unique to each state to arrive at the expenditure requirements, etc. Our objective has been to fill the resource gaps of each state to the extent possible through tax devolution. However, we have provided post-devolution revenue deficit grants for states where devolution alone could not cover the assessed gap. If at all, the recalculation would have been done and the revenue deficit grant should have been reduced. I do not understand what net benefit the state would have got. Despite that, the central government, in consultation with the state government, assessed what would be the difference between 90-10 and other existing formula.